Hello, I'm Greg, an artist, designer and printmaker here in Kent. Allow me to introduce you to the Studio Diaries of Circa1990. The Studio Diaries feature some of what I've been working on. Sit down, relax and join me as I experiment, explore and create in my design studio. I've been studying lettering and signwriting. It's the focus on the letter forms which I like best. Whilst I'm not a pro yet at signwriting, I wanted to work on a project which would utilise some of these resources and employ it in something I know much more about: lino printing. I particularly like these letter plates. They've got very nice shapes and forms to them, and I quite like the little pictures inside. I like the uppercase, and the lowercase as well are also really beautiful. I like this one, how it looks like an eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan this, bring it onto the computer, and try and take some of the shapes out of this to use on a lino cut print. So after scanning it, I bring it into Photoshop. First I want to line it up so it's square. Turn it black, so we're not introducing any extra colours when I take it into Illustrator later. And then just crop out the section that I'd like to be working with. I've selected most of it, but I want to just clean up any little ghost lines from the decorations. So I mask this out before taking it into Illustrator. In Illustrator, I can outline it, and then I have individual letters which I can select and move. Here I'm just playing with the composition. Here's my initial idea. I like this shape. I'm wondering how it will work into the ampersand. And trying it, I see it doesn't really quite work for me, but I still like the icon. Here I like the arc that comes around the eye. So I make a little design based on that. Extend the kick on the K, reflect it and send it to print. Okay, so this has now come off the printer. And this here is my master copy. So when I'm cutting the lino, I can always have something to reference back to how it's going to be. And this is my tracing copy. So I can trace this onto the lino and I know it's going to be printing the right way when it comes to being printed. Now I probably need to be getting myself a proper tripod. However, necessity is the mother of invention. So here is my top-down setup. Let's just make this a bit smaller. Feature. So I've got my lino block, and then I've got some transfer carbon paper, which I'll just put in place. And then the key to this, of course, is to not let it move around too much. But I've always got my guide that I can go back to, should I need to. Now it's just a case of tracing it. And I'm not too worried about it changing the line too much, because of course, one of the nice things about lino is the more times that you process it. So we've gone from an initial print in a book to a scan. We've refined the scan in Photoshop. I brought it into Illustrator, refined it further, and then I've also played around with some of the lengths of the strokes and the composition of the type, and that has added further variations to what we started with. And now of course there'll be some variation with just the line I make tracing it, and then the amount of control I have of the lino cutting blades will add further differences. I find adds to the character of lino printing. Okay. So there we have my guide for cutting. So this is a nice sharp, thin one, and that'll be doing good for just doing the outlines and the shaping of the letters. I can just see, just looking at this, I'm not too happy about how that wobbles, that line wobbles, so I'm just going to adjust that. And again, I want that to be just a little bit more pointed. But otherwise, I feel quite happy with that transfer. Now is usually a good time to just let yourself fall into the flow of carving the lino block. I usually put some music on, so let's slip into a time lapse. So at this stage I've now outlined all of my my type, and I now need to start carving out all this space in between the letters. So with that I have to change to a slightly bigger tool. And this one is a 4, which is probably a bit big for gouging. But this one's a 3, so that's probably a good halfway house. So it has a much bigger cutting blade compared to the baby one before. So again, I like to start with the in-between spaces, because these are the ones that are most fiddly, and also they require the most amount of focus. As you start just cutting away and getting into the groove of things, I find your mind does tend to wander. And then you start, that's when you can make mistakes. Okay, so that's the finished lino block. I lost a little bit of the K just down here. Easy with this. So yes, I lost a little bit of the K just here, but otherwise I think it was a fairly good cut. Looking forward to be able to ink this and print it. I've just filmed a sequence on this green screen for the like and subscribe. I just wanted to try on a different texture to see if that gives a better impression. That looks good. So now let me take off the green background and let's see what it looks like. It looks good. I'm really happy with it. Thank you for joining me for Circa1990 Studio Diaries. Come back often to see what I've been doing in the studio. If you would like to check out my website, do so at circa1990.co.uk. And of course, if you would like to help this channel grow, please consider liking this video and subscribing. If you have any comments or thoughts, please let me know in the comments below. I will leave some information in the description about the books that I used to help me create this video. Thank you for watching.